Ever heard of the term yield curve and wondered what it is? Well, you're not alone. Let's break it down. Picture a line graph. On this graph, we plot the interest rates of bonds with different maturity dates. We're talking about treasuries that can mature anywhere from 3 months to 30 years. These varying dates and rates come together to form what looks like a curved line on the graph. Hence the term yield curve. But here's the intriguing part. This curve isn't always the same. It can slope positively, lay flat, or even slope negatively, which is also known as an inverted yield curve. Each shape tells us something different about the economy. But don't worry, we'll dive into that a bit later. For now, just remember this. Understanding the yield curve can provide insights into future interest rate change and economic activity. And who wouldn't want a sneak peek into the future? Now, it's not just about plotting points and forming a curve. The shape of this curve is what matters. Let's delve into the different types of yield curves. First off, we have the positive sloping yield curve. Picture this as a hill sloping upwards. Here, short-term bonds yield lower interest rates than long-term bonds, suggesting that investors are rewarded more for locking their money in for longer periods. Next, we have the flat yield curve. As the name suggests, this curve is as flat as a pancake, indicating that short-term and long-term bonds yield the same interest rates. It's like a level playing field for investors, regardless of the bond maturity. Lastly, we have the inverted yield curve. Yes, you heard it right, it's inverted. This unusual curve shows short-term bonds yielding higher interest rates than long-term bonds. It's like a downhill slope, quite the opposite of what we usually expect. Each shape of the curve indicates a different economic scenario. You might be thinking, why should I care about the yield curve? The answer is simple, it's a powerful economic indicator. The yield curve shape can foretell future interest rate movements and economic activity. When the curve is positively sloped, it often signals that investors expect higher interest rates in the future. This anticipation can spur economic growth as businesses and individuals take advantage of current lower rates. Conversely, an inverted yield curve, where short-term bonds yield higher rates than long-term bonds, can indicate an upcoming recession. The reason? Investors foresee lower interest rates ahead due to a slowing economy. In normal market conditions, it's logical for long-term bonds to yield higher rates than short-term ones. After all, investors expect a larger return for lending their money over a longer period. So the next time you hear about the yield curve, you'll know what it is and why it's so important in the financial world.